Today, we're installing the electronics for the Ford Bronco live valve kit. Please take a moment to read the safety guidelines. Let's start with the vehicle's interior. We need to remove the driver and passenger side front seats. Start on the driver's side of the cab. Slide the seat back and pull the covers. Then remove the front two bolts. Next, slide the seat forward and remove the seat's rear bolts. Disconnect the electrical harness under the seat and remove the seat. Repeat the same steps and remove the passenger seat. Remove the plastic covers on the center console to expose the fasteners. There's 2 fasteners on each side of the center console. Remove the driver's side bolts first. Pop off the lower dash trim above the center console and move on to the passenger side center console fasteners. Next, remove the 2 bolts attaching the passenger grab handle. Now we need to move the gear selector from park to neutral to proceed with the disassembly. Make sure your vehicle's parking brake is engaged. Turn the vehicle on into accessory and shift into neutral and turn the car off again. Disconnect the gear selector shift boot, then separate the trim under the gear selector from the center console. Disconnect all the electrical connections under the trim panel and remove the panel. Now you can shift the gear selector back to park and turn the vehicle off. Once you've shifted into park, you can disconnect the negative battery terminal. Unbolt the center console cross brace located in front of the gear selector. Unplug the large pigtail located in the rear of the center console. Now you can remove the center console. With the center console removed, remove the air vent on either side under the dash. Next, remove the 2 long fasteners located at the front of the center console. Then, unbolt the front bolt of the grab handle bracket. This is where the live valve ECU and IMU will be mounting. Let's keep disassembling the dash. Pop the lower trim panel off underneath the steering wheel. Remove the driver door sill and loosen the carpet near the B-pillar. Repeat the same steps for the passenger side. Continue disassembly of the passenger side by removing the glove box and kick panel. Locate the OEM grommet under the carpet on the passenger floor and the driver floor. Modify the supplied grommets and install them in the floor where you removed the OEM grommets. Next, let's install the ECU and IMU. Place the ECU on the bracket so that the connector is pointed towards the passenger side of the vehicle. Install the supplied hardware. Next, move on to the IMU bracket. Make sure the white cover is pointed downward, and the connector is pointed towards the rear of the vehicle. Combine the 2 brackets using the supplied hardware. Torque all hardware to 70 inch-pounds. Orient the bracket at the front of the center console. You'll be mounting the bracket where you previously removed the 2 long screws up front and the bolt securing the passenger grab handle bracket. Make sure you've installed the supplied spacer washers under the downward facing bracket. Use the supplied hardware and install the bracket. Torque the 3 fasteners to 70 inch-pounds. Now let's switch gears and prepare the main harness. Locate the branch named Sensor and install the 8-pin dust cap. Next, locate the ignition fuse tap and install the supplied 3-amp fuse in the upper slot. Now, let's start running the main harness by plugging in the 48-pin connector to the ECU. Locate the ECU's ground ring terminal and sandwich in between the bolt and bracket on the passenger side. Retorque the bolt to manufacturer specifications. Next, route the ignition branch from the center console underneath the lower dash towards the fuse box. Locate fuse slot F37 and remove the 20-amp fuse. Reinstall the 20-amp fuse into the lower slot of the fuse tap and install the fuse tap into F37. Okay, let's start installing the CAN harness. Start by connecting the IMU connector to the IMU. Next, find the supplied 4-pin dust connector and install it on the branch labeled touchpoint. You're not using this branch, so let's route it into the lower dash under the steering wheel and secure the excess harness with zip ties. We're done under the steering wheel, so go ahead and reinstall the lower dash trim. Connect the main harness to the CAN harness. Locate the 2 branches labeled CAN and connect them. Now we need to tap into the Bronco's CAN harness using our CAN sensor. Open up the sensor and study the cover. There's text indicating which side is CAN high and CAN low. Look for the 26-pin black connector underneath the passenger kick panel that's connected to the GWR. You'll likely need to remove 3 to 4 inches of the fabric tape to expose these wires. Carefully identify pins numbers 7 and 20. The blue wire is CAN high and the white wire is CAN low. Place these wires into their spots in the CAN sensor and reassemble the sensor. Make sure the wires are fully seated inside the foam to ensure the reader functions correctly. Plug the vehicle's harness back in and secure the CAN sensor to the vehicle harness with zip ties. Now, plug your CAN sensor into the harness branch labeled CAN2_VEH. Route the harness branch from the center console behind the glove box and connect the harness branch to the sensor. Pull the excess CAN harness into the rear of the glove box and secure with zip ties. Let's start running our harness branches to the exterior of the vehicle. Start with FRC and RRC. They need to go underneath the passenger side carpet and through the grommet you previously installed. Next, disassemble the fuse block so it will fit through the driver's side grommet. Route the fuse block underneath the driver's side carpet and through the grommet, then reassemble it. Next, Pull RLC and FLC under the carpet and through the driver's side grommet. Let's transition to the truck's underside. Route RLC down the driver's side frame rail towards the rear wheel well. Connect RLC to the driver rear shock and secure the harness branch with zip ties. Next, route FLC into the front driver wheel well. Plug FLC into the shock and secure excess harness with zip ties. Follow the same path with the power branch. Route the branch into the front wheel well above the coil bucket and pull the harness into the engine bay. Connect the ground ring terminal to the negative terminal on the battery. Connect both power ring terminals to the positive terminal of the battery. Route RRC down the passenger side frame rail towards the rear wheel well. Connect RRC to the passenger rear shock and secure the harness branch with zip ties. Next, route FRC into the front passenger wheel well. Plug FRC into the shock and secure excess harness with zip ties. Now that we're done routing the harness, let's put the vehicle's interior back together. Start by reinstalling the passenger side kick panel and glove box. Reinstall the passenger door sill trim. Reinstall the driver door sill trim. Reinstall the air vents located in front of the center console. Finally, place the center console back in position. Check that your new wiring harness hasn't been pinched in the process. Next, plug the large pigtail connector back into the center console. Reinstall the fasteners on either side of the center console. Torque the bolts to manufacturer specifications. Reinstall the plastic covers afterwards. Next, move on to the center console brace. Torque the center console's brace to manufacturer specifications as well. Before we can reinstall the gear selector trim, reconnect the negative battery terminal. Turn the vehicle on to accessory mode and shift into neutral. Plug in the electrical connector on the gear selector trim, then reinstall the trim around the gear selector. Reconnect the gear selector boot to the trim, shift back into park, and then turn the vehicle off. Reinstall the lower dash trim in front of the center console. Reinstall the passenger grab handle and torque the bolts to manufacturer specifications. Place the driver's seat back in the vehicle and reconnect the electrical harness underneath its seat. Reinstall the front and rear bolts and torque them to manufacturer specifications. Repeat the same steps for the passenger side seat. Put the mode selector and ball mount assembly together. Look inside the vehicle and decide where you might want to mount your mode selector. For this vehicle, we've chosen to mount the mode selector on the left side of the dash. Power on the mode selector. If the mode selector's LEDs aren't white and orange, proceed with the pairing procedure. To enter pairing mode, hold the left paddle down and the right paddle up for 3 seconds until the on-road icon flashes blue. Before proceeding, make sure your motor's been off for more than 1 minute and your foot is off the brake pedal. Starting from the off position, press the start-stop button 7 times to pair the mode selector. Make sure your foot remains off the brake the entire time. The on-road icon will quickly change colors and revert back to orange and white once paired with the ECU. Review the manual for additional details. Please note that the same pairing procedure must be followed to pair a smartphone to our mobile app. Scan the QR code to download our mobile app. Open the app and click Pair New. Select your vehicle once it appears. Now that you've installed your new live valve kit, it's time to go enjoy the truck.